All right, so today we're diving into negotiation.
Yeah.
Looks like someone's ready to level up their deal-making skills. You've given us great notes and an excerpt from a professional development course on negotiation.
It's great that you want to go beyond just how to negotiate.
Right.
We're going to look at how to do it well.
Absolutely.
We're going to break down the strategies and the tactics and even the psychology behind it all.
Now, the course material starts off by saying that everybody negotiates.
Right.
And that really got me thinking because
It's true.
it's not just for like high-powered CEOs and lawyers.
So that's just a business deal.
Right. It's everybody.
You know, think about it.
Yeah.
Did you negotiate with a toddler over bedtime?
Oh, yeah.
Did you haggle for a better price at a flea market?
All the time.
You were negotiating.
Exactly.
Even those everyday negotiations can benefit from
Right.
a little strategic thinking.
Now, the course then throws out these two main strategies.
Yeah.
Distributive and integrative negotiation. What's the difference?
So imagine you're buying a used car.
Okay.
That's classic distributive negotiation.
Got it.
It's a fixed pie.
Okay.
You want the lowest price, the seller wants the highest price.
Makes sense.
One person's gain is the other's loss.
It's a zero-sum game.
Exactly.
But then it contrasts that with integrative negotiation, and it uses this really cool example
Yeah.
about Toyota and their suppliers.
Right. Toyota doesn't try to squeeze the suppliers for the lowest price possible. They actually collaborate and try to find solutions that benefit both sides.
Oh, wow.
It's a win-win.
That's great.
The result, higher quality parts and long-lasting partnerships.
Now, the million-dollar question is,
Yeah.
when do you use which strategy?
Right.
Like if I'm splitting rent with a roommate,
Yeah.
should we be thinking distributive?
Okay, so splitting rent, you might think, hey, it's a fixed amount. Someone's paying more, someone's paying less.
Right.
But if you dig a little deeper, you realize your roommate values a bigger bedroom more than you do.
Yeah.
You happily take the smaller room for a slightly lower rent.
That's really interesting.
That's integrative thinking.
So even seemingly simple negotiations can have
Absolutely.
that win-win.
The potential.
And that leads us to what the course calls the heart of effective negotiation.
Yes.
Understanding positions versus interests.
Can you unpack that a little?
Yeah, so unpack that.
So a position is what you say you want.
Okay.
Your interest is the underlying why.
Yeah,
The course makes this point so clearly.
Yeah.
Sometimes just by asking yourself why you want something, you open up much better solutions.
They had this great example about someone who wanted to reduce their medical expenses.
Oh, yeah.
And their initial position was to negotiate a lower doctor's fee.
Right.
But by asking why they wanted to reduce their medical expenses, they realized that their real interest was to have their medical needs met affordably.
Exactly.
So the real solution was addressing their lack of insurance,
Yes.
not just the doctor's bill.
That's a great example.
By understanding the underlying interest, they found a much better outcome.
Yes. And it's not just about knowing your interests. It's about understanding the other party's interests as well.
That's right.
That's how you create those win-win scenarios.
Okay, so we got our strategies and we're digging deep into interests,
Yeah.
but now we need some tools, some tactics.
Yeah, some tactics.
The course lists 21 negotiation tactics,
Oh, wow.
which is a bit overwhelming. So
Yeah.
can we pick out a few that are particularly useful
Absolutely.
for business and life?
Let's do it. One that caught my eye was brinkmanship.
Brinkmanship.
This is where you push the negotiation to the edge.
Oh,
Like the other party think they have to accept your offer or walk away.
so it's high risk, high reward.
It is high risk, high reward.
It is high risk, high reward.
Can you give me an example of brinkmanship in action?
Absolutely. So imagine you're a small business owner negotiating a contract with a large corporation.
Okay.
You know, they need your services, but they're trying to lowball you.
You could use brinkmanship by confidently stating that you're willing to walk away
Oh, wow.
if they don't meet your minimum requirements.
So it's about conveying that you're serious
Exactly.
and you're willing to walk away.
You have to be willing to walk away.
But it sounds like timing and confidence are key with this one.
Absolutely. Now let's switch gears to a tactic that's a little less intense,
Okay.
but equally effective.
All right.
The bogey.
The bogey.
This is where you pretend something is important to you when it's really not,
Okay.
then use it as a trade-off.
Ooh, sneaky.
It is a little sneaky.
It's like those old school car dealerships
Exactly.
where they pretend to fight for you
Yeah,
to get a better price even though it was planned.
exactly. And you can even use this tactic in everyday life.
Oh, really?
So imagine you're negotiating household chores with your partner.
All right.
You could act like you absolutely hate doing laundry,
Right.
even if you don't mind it that much.
Yeah,
Then you offer to do all the laundry if they take on another chore.
that's great. I love that.
It's a clever way to get what you want without seeming too demanding.
The bogey's a tactic for life.
A tactic for life.
Okay, one more before we move on.
Okay.
The course really emphasizes don't make the first offer.
Yes.
Why is that so important?
So letting the other side anchor the negotiation first gives you valuable information.
Okay.
Let's say you're negotiating a salary for a new job.
Right.
If they throw out a number first, you instantly know their ballpark.
Got it.
If it's higher than what you expected, fantastic.
Awesome.
If it's lower, then you know you need to push back.
So it's all about gathering intel
Yes,
and avoiding potentially lowballing yourself.
exactly.
Okay, we've covered some great tactics here.
Yes.
But I'm curious, what if we're dealing with someone who's using these tactics against us?
That's a great question, and it leads us into the next crucial aspect of negotiation.
Okay.
Understanding different negotiation styles.
All right, so let's get into that.
So we were talking about understanding different negotiation styles.
Right. And how to decipher them when other people are using them against us.
Exactly. And that's where negotiation styles come in.
Yeah.
The course material lays out 5 main styles.
Okay.
Competing, accommodating, avoiding, compromising, and collaborating.
So it's like a personality test for negotiators.
It is.
We were already talking about win-win scenarios.
Yeah.
Which sounds a lot like the collaborating style.
You got it. A collaborating negotiator is all about finding solutions that truly benefit both sides.
Yeah.
They're open, they're communicative, they're willing to brainstorm and get creative.
So it's like that Toyota and supplier example,
Exactly.
where both parties work together
Mhm.
to improve quality and efficiency.
Yeah, and save money in the process.
That sounds ideal, but I'm guessing not everybody is naturally a collaborator.
Definitely not.
No.
And that's why it's valuable to understand the other styles.
Yeah.
For example, a competing negotiator
Oh.
is much more focused on winning. They might use tactics like brinkmanship or the bogey to get what they want, even if it means the other side loses out.
So it's like playing hardball.
Exactly.
There's definitely a time and a place for that,
Absolutely.
especially in business,
Yeah,
like with mergers and acquisitions where there's a clear winner and loser.
exactly. But the key is knowing when to compete and when to collaborate.
Mm.
Misreading the situation can backfire, damage relationships, and lead to a lose-lose outcome for everyone.
So it's about reading the room,
Right.
understanding the context,
Yes.
and adapting your style accordingly.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got collaborators and competitors.
Yeah.
What about the other 3 styles?
Well, an accommodating negotiator prioritizes keeping the peace.
Okay.
They're more likely to give in to demands, even if it means sacrificing their own interests.
So this style can be valuable in personal relationships,
Yes.
where, maintaining harmony is important.
Right, but it can be a disadvantage in a business setting if you constantly give in to avoid conflict.
It's about finding that balance.
Yes,
Being agreeable, but not a pushover.
exactly.
Okay, what about avoiding?
As the name suggests, an avoiding negotiator tries to dodge the whole negotiation process altogether.
Oh, yeah.
They might postpone discussions, change the subject, or simply refuse to engage.
I've definitely encountered this type before.
Right.
And it can be frustrating because you never feel like you're going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
So while avoidance might work in low-stakes situations, it can lead to resentment and missed opportunities if important issues are constantly swept under the rug
Yes. So avoidance is a tactic best used sparingly.
and strategically.
Yes.
Okay, last but not least, we have compromising.
Right. Compromising is all about finding that middle ground where each side gives up something to reach an agreement.
Sounds fair enough.
Right.
But I'm curious, how does compromising differ from collaborating?
Okay, that's a great question.
Don't both involve finding a solution that works for both sides?
So while both styles aim for agreement, compromising is more about finding a quick and easy solution, even if it's not optimal for everyone involved.
Oh.
Collaborating, on the other hand, involves digging deeper, brainstorming creative options, and potentially finding a solution that not only satisfies both sides, but also exceeds initial expectations.
Wow.
So it's like the difference between settling for a decent meal
Yeah.
versus finding a truly exceptional culinary experience.
That's a great analogy.
And understanding these different styles can give you a major advantage.
Yeah.
You'll be able to anticipate the other party's approach, adapt your own style,
Right.
and navigate the conversation more effectively.
It feels like we're starting to see the bigger picture of negotiation.
Yes.
It's not just about winning or losing,
It's not a game.
right? It's about understanding the psychology,
The
the
psychology.
strategies, the different styles at play.
And to really master the art of negotiation, we need to dive into another crucial layer,
Okay.
psychological tactics.
Oh, this is where it gets really juicy.
Yes.
I'm ready to learn how to read minds
Right.
and predict my opponent's every move.
Well, maybe not mind reading, but we can definitely learn to recognize and leverage the psychological factors that influence how people make decisions.
Yeah.
And the course has some really fascinating insights on this.
Let's hear it. What kind of mind games are we talking about here?
One powerful psychological tactic is called framing.
Framing.
It's all about how you present information.
Okay.
The same information can be perceived very differently depending on how it's framed.
Well, that's interesting.
For example, highlighting potential losses instead of gains can make people more risk-averse.
So if I'm trying to convince someone to invest in my startup,
Yeah.
instead of emphasizing the potential profits, I could frame it in terms of the opportunities they might miss out on by not investing.
Exactly.
A little bit of FOMO, perhaps.
Well, a little bit of FOMO.
By framing the information in terms of potential losses, it makes them more likely to take action.
Exactly.
That's brilliant. Okay, what other psychological tricks do we have up our sleeve?
Another classic is anchoring,
Anchoring.
which we touched on briefly with the don't make the first offer tactic.
Right.
It's the idea that the first piece of information we receive
Yeah.
often sets a reference point for subsequent judgments,
Oh.
even if that information is arbitrary or irrelevant.
So if I'm selling my car and I throw out a high asking price,
Yeah.
even if it's way above market value, it sets an anchor
It's an anchor.
in the buyer's mind.
Yes.
So they might be less likely to lowball me
Exactly.
because they've already been exposed to a higher number.
And this principle applies to all sorts of negotiations, from salary discussions to buying a house.
This is fascinating.
It is.
It's like we're peeking behind the curtain of human decision-making.
Yes.
Are there any other psychological tactics we should be aware of?
One more I want to highlight is reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
The idea that people feel obligated to return favors. Okay.
In a negotiation context, by making a small concession up front, you can trigger a sense of obligation in the other party, making them more likely to reciprocate with a concession of their own.
So if I'm negotiating a business deal
Yeah.
and I offer to throw in a free bonus service,
Yeah.
even if it's relatively low cost for me, it might make the other party more inclined to meet my demands
Yes.
on other aspects of the deal.
Exactly. It's a subtle way to influence the dynamic and create a more collaborative atmosphere.
This is all incredibly insightful.
It is.
But with all these powerful tactics at our disposal,
Yeah.
it's important to remember the ethical implications.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be manipulative or coercive in our negotiations.
We don't. Ethical considerations are paramount.
Yeah.
While these tactics can be incredibly effective, they should always be used responsibly
Yeah.
and with integrity.
Right.
Negotiation is about finding mutually beneficial solutions, not about exploiting or deceiving others. Well said. So we got our strategies, our tactics, our psychology.
Yeah.
But I imagine things don't always go according to plan, right?
Of course not.
What about those times when negotiations get tough?
Right.
When we hit a roadblock or we encounter resistance?
That's a great point, and it leads us into the next crucial aspect of negotiation,
Okay.
managing challenging scenarios.
We've been talking about the importance of using all these tactics ethically
Right.
and responsibly.
Right.
But let's face it, not every negotiation is going to be smooth sailing.
It's not.
What happens when the other side is playing hardball?
Yeah.
Or we just can't seem to find common ground?
Well, the first step is to recognize that conflict is a natural part of negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
In fact, it can be an opportunity for growth and creativity.
So instead of seeing conflict as like a failure,
Right.
we should see it as a chance to
A chance to learn.
understand the other person's perspective
Yes.
and potentially find a solution that's even better
Absolutely.
than our initial goals.
The key is to manage conflict constructively.
Oh, how we do that?
And that starts with maintaining a calm and respectful demeanor,
Right.
even when things get heated.
Even when you just want to like
Yeah.
scream.
You don't want to do that.
Right.
Negotiation is about problem solving,
Uh-huh.
not about winning a battle of egos.
So it's about separating the people from the problem.
Yes.
We can disagree with someone's ideas
Mm-hmm.
without attacking them personally,
Right.
but how do we stay calm
Yeah.
and collected when the pressure's on?
So one effective technique is to actively listen to the other party's concerns. Let them vent, acknowledge their emotions, and try to understand their perspective.
So it's about putting ourselves in their shoes.
Exactly.
Empathizing with their position.
Yes.
And showing them that we're taking their concerns seriously.
Right. And once you've created that environment, you can start to address the specific points of disagreement. And this is where clear and assertive communication is crucial.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yes.
Being firm but fair.
Right.
Advocating for our own needs while also respecting the needs of the other party.
Exactly. And remember, compromise doesn't always mean meeting in the middle.
Oh.
It can also involve finding creative solutions that satisfy both sides' underlying interests.
Yeah.
Even if it means moving away from initial positions.
This is where all that preparation we talked about earlier comes in.
Exactly.
Like having a clear understanding of our own interests.
Yes.
As well as the other party's interests.
It gives us the flexibility to brainstorm.
And don't be afraid to take a break if things are getting too heated.
Yeah, sometimes a little time and space can help everyone clear their heads and come back to the table.
Right. Stepping away can help us avoid making those rash decisions.
Exactly.
Or saying something we'll regret later.
And when you do return to the negotiation,
Yeah.
focus on identifying areas of agreement, however small they may be. Highlighting that common ground can create momentum and build trust.
So it's about finding those little wins.
Yeah.
Those points of convergence.
Exactly.
That can help us move towards an outcome.
A mutually acceptable outcome.
That works for everybody.
Exactly. And remember, even if you don't reach a perfect agreement,
Yeah.
a well-managed negotiation can strengthen relationships.
That's a good point.
And lay the groundwork for future collaboration.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has been.
We covered so much.
We did.
I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of the art of negotiation.
And I hope our listener feels empowered to approach their next negotiation
Absolutely.
with confidence and skill.
We've given them a toolkit full of tactics and strategies
A lot of information.
to navigate any bargaining scenario.
Right.
Whether it's a business deal
Or a personal one.
or a personal one.
Right. Negotiation is a skill that can be learned and honed with practice.
That's a good point.
The more you negotiate, the better you'll become.
And reading people, understanding their motivations, and finding creative solutions
that benefit everyone involved.
So to our listener, we say embrace the art of negotiation.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask for what you want,
Right.
to advocate for your needs, and to find solutions that work for everyone.
And remember, the key to successful negotiation is preparation, understanding, and a willingness to collaborate.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive
Absolutely.
into this fascinating world of negotiation.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Yes.
And are ready to tackle your next negotiation.
With confidence.
With confidence and skill.
Until next time, happy deal making.